Welcome back to the channel, guys. Today I'm going to be doing another episode of my Celebrity Deep Dive series. Today I'm going to be talking about an actor from the 80s and very early 90s, River Phoenix. You probably know him. He was in a lot of popular movies, including Stand By Me. So without further ado, let's just get right into the video. Okay, let's get right into it. River Jude Phoenix was born to Arlene Phoenix and John Lee Bottom on August 23, 1970 in Madras, Oregon. Arlene Phoenix was an American social activist. She has had only one film appearance in a 2020 documentary called Liberty, and John Lee Bottom was a missionary. And only after when the family moved to Hollywood did their last names actually change to Phoenix, which didn't actually happen till River himself was about 8 or 9 years old. So before that, their last name was Bottom, and at his time of birth, River already had an older paternal half sister named Jodine Bottom, and her mother, whoever her mother is not publicly known, but she does share a father with River, who is obviously John, but the mother's not publicly known. So between the years 1972 and 1978, River had 4 more siblings, a sister named Rain Phoenix in 1972, a brother named Joaquin Phoenix, who's also a famous actor, in 1974. In 1976, Liberty Phoenix was born, and finally, in 1978, another sister named Summer Phoenix was born. And when River was still young, the family moved cross country a lot, and in interviews, River described this as a desperate situation. And on street corners, he would play his guitar while his sister would sing for money so that the family could be supported. So from an early age, he and his siblings had to help out for money. And because of this and other reasons, he never actually went to formal school. By those who knew him, River was described to be able to read and write. He was able to read and write, but he was never able to really grasp more complex ideas. There were some claims that he was dyslexic, but that is not known. That is just alleged. From when River was 3 years old to when he was 7 years old, the family lived in Venezuela, Puerto Rico, and Mexico, to which they lived there because they had become part of a religious cult called Children of God, and his parents when they were part of the cult, his parents, Arlen and John, would be doing missionary work, and they were stationed as fruit gatherers in the cult, and the cult, specifically Children of God, was founded in 1968 by a former preacher named David Brandenburg, and that's like I thought I was mispronouncing his name for a second, but then I remember this guy's a cult leader. Why should I care? Now though, this cult is actually known as the Family International after a rebrand since Berg's death in 1994. And the cult, like I said, they're still around. They're just under a different name. And when asked about his life when part of this cult, River has brought up an alleged story. The story isn't known to be actually factually true, and I'll explain why in a second. But he would tell this story where, from when he was 4 years old, he has said that some other kids that were part of the cult had raped him, and that he had blocked out the memory. But his brother Joaquin Phoenix would later say in interviews that this story was false and that it was a joke by River because he often got ridiculous questions, or questions that seemed ridiculous to him about life and the cult. So supposedly that story is really only alleged. We don't actually know if that is true. And since the age of 7, River has lived as a vegan. In later years, he would even publicly advocate for animal and environmental rights. So he was like a big-time vegan. And eventually, Arlen and John grew disillusioned by the church. Thankfully, honestly, and it's not fun to be part of cults, guys. Don't join cults, okay? And the family moved back to the U.S., specifically in the Los Angeles area, and River was 9 years old at this time. Now that it's the 80s, now that the family was back in the US, Arlen Phoenix, the mother, started working as a secretary for an NBC broadcaster. Meanwhile, John started working as an exterior architect. And one day in the early 1980s, a talent agent named Iris Burton had spotted River and his siblings, which included Joaquin, Summer, and Rain, singing for some spare change in Westwood, Los Angeles. Iris was so charmed by the family that she soon represented the four siblings in her agency, in her acting agency. And River Phoenix started his acting career by auditioning for commercials. Iris helped him get roles in commercials for companies such as in this first one I might mispronounce, Mitsubishi, anyway, I'll put it on the screen, and Ocean Spray. Eventually, though, he started auditioning for TV show roles, and he got his first official appearance in a TV show called Fantasy in 1980, where he sang with his sister Rain. And between 1980 and 1983, he would proceed to appear in other TV shows such as Seven Brides for Seven Brothers, Family Ties, and Celebrity. In 1984, he made his film debut in an ABC special called Backwards, The Riddle of Dyslexia. His little brother Joaquin starred alongside him in that hour-long film. In 1984 and 1985, he appeared in two TV shows called It's Your Move and Robert Kennedy and His Times, which I believe was a show about Robert Kennedy from like the actual Kennedy family, JFK, all that stuff. And as his performance in Backwards, The Riddle of Dyslexia got critical acclaim, River got almost immediately casted in a 1985 movie called Surviving, which actually starred Molly Ringwald and Zach Galligan. And actually, when I was doing research, I actually got interested in that movie, so I might actually watch it sometime. The plot sounded interesting to me. Anyways, directly after this, River got one of the lead roles in the movie Explorers, which was also in 1985. In this film, he starred alongside Ethan Hawke. This was his first major motion picture film, and something that he was even more passionate about, though, besides outside of acting, something he was more passionate about was music. Since his start in the early 1980s, River had written and performed many songs, such as one called Hard to Get and another called Across the Way. He had a lot of songs. He really liked music. We kind of already could tell because he would get spare change singing with his siblings. But the next year in 1986, River got a lead role in the popular coming-of-age film that we probably have all seen called Stand By Me, which was directed by renowned director Rob Reiner. I believe just recently he got murdered by his son, which is sad story. Back to River, though. In this film, River starred alongside Will Wheaton, Corey Feldman. I love Corey Feldman, he's cool. Jerry O'Connell, and Kiefer Sutherland, also really cool. And Kiefer Sutherland played the main antagonist in this film, and obviously Kiefer Sutherland is the son of Donald Sutherland, but anyways, Stand By Me is basically the film that finally made River Phoenix a household name, and this was when he was 16 years old. So at 16, he has finally become an actual household name because of this movie. And his performance as Chris Chambers was widely talked about, and he even said in interviews that he actually identified a lot with the characters. He identified with his character a lot, and that he even said specifically that if he wasn't going home to his family every day after playing as Chris Chambers, he probably had to go get a psychiatrist or something because he was identifying that much of Chris Chambers. But moving on from Stand By Me, between 1986 and 1989, River Phoenix would go on to make appearances in more big movies such as The Mosquito Coast, Little Nikita, and Indiana Jones: The Last Crusade. Though his role in that final one was only in the very beginning. It was kind of small, but still relevant to mention. When on the set of The Mosquito Coast, River, 15 years old at the time, started a romance with co-star Martha Plimpton. When they had first met, the two actually didn't like each other initially, but obviously they did grow to like each other, or else they wouldn't have dated. And years later, they co-starred together in Running on Empty in 1988. The two broke up, and this is after they filmed the movie. They broke up right after filming this movie, and the reason was because of River's drug use. Because he wasn't like a rampant druggie or anything, but River Phoenix have drug use. And despite this, though, the two did maintain a close friendship since then. And there was a specific story I found from their relationship that was later retold by Martha Plimpton in an interview, and this story took place in a fancy restaurant. When they went on a date in a fancy restaurant, Martha, I accidentally called her Martha. I'm sorry, Martha. At this restaurant, she ordered soft shell crabs, and River, being a vegan, and the two of them having dated for so many years, he reportedly left the restaurant crying, kind of distraught, because and not because like the crab specifically, like, but because like they had been dating for years, and like Martha, like, and he specifically, he wasn't able to impress upon her what was right in his eyes. And so, like, and having dated for so many years, like, Martha, I feel like Martha, you probably should have thought through what you ordered when you went on a date with River. But I don't know. With vegans, like, I mean, do what you want. But to me personally, like, animals to me can't be food. Like, they're fruit. I mean, I don't like seafood, so I wouldn't be ordering crabs. But like, I don't really, But anyways, going back towards their breakup and the reason why, scared that his public image, like, River became scared that his public image and his other personal relationships could be ruined as well. He kept his drug addictions and some out in his alcohol use, because he they usually go hand in hand, so he did have some alcohol too. He kept this as quiet and secret as possible as he could from the public. Between the years 1990 and 1992, River Phoenix would get more roles in more movies, which included I Love You to Death, Dogfight, and Sneakers. And in 1990, River wrote an environmental awareness essay about Earth Day targeted towards his young fan base, because his fan base was a lot of young people, and his essay was printed in the magazine 17, and obviously, he probably did this because he advocated for environmental awareness, like animal rights, that kind of thing, like a lot. So, like, he probably did that because it was so personally important to him and his beliefs. He also financially aided many environmental and humanitarian organizations. Again, like, this is stuff that was very important to River. Another thing he did was buy 800 acres of endangered rainforest in Costa Rica. Again, he cared a lot about the environment. River would also give speeches at rallies for various groups, and he would play environmental benefits with his band for well-known charities. Like I said, he's a singer, so he was a musician and stuff. He liked music, so he had like a band, so hence why he's doing that music stuff too. And a prominent spokesperson. He was also a prominent spokesperson for PETA, which stands for People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals, and River got a special award from the group in 1992, and in the next year, in 1993, River Phoenix had finished his final movie. This is when we get to his last days before the tragedy at the Viper Room. So his last movie was Dark Blood, and the final scenes have been shot in Utah. In late October, he had returned to Los Angeles. Now, in the days before his death, River reportedly has spent a several-day drug binge with, and I might pronounce this man's last name incorrectly, but I'll try to pronounce it as accurately as I can, John Frusciante, and he's from the Red Hot Chili Peppers band, which is a popular band. I would be surprised if you guys haven't heard of the Red Hot Chili Peppers. And neither had any sleep for many days. And on October 30th, River showed up to the Viper Room, which is actually, the Viper Room's a club that's actually partly owned by Johnny Depp. Just thought I mentioned that. Johnny Depp partly owned a share of this club. And he showed up here with his brother Joaquin, his girlfriend at the time, Samantha Mathis. He only ever had two public relationships, which was Martha back in the 80s and Samantha now in the early 90s. And he also went with his sister Rain. And there he was going to perform on stage with the other young celebrities, because this club was like a main hangout place for young celebrities of about their age, because at this point he's 23 years old. And the people he was gonna perform with included people like John Frusciante, and I feel like I'm mispronouncing his last name, so I'm sorry, but and also Johnny Depp. But and according to Bob Forrest, who is a musician, by the way, a musician who was there that night, during the performance, River had tapped him on the shoulder and told him that he didn't feel well. They thought that he was overdosing, but Bob responded with doubt, stating that if he was overdosing, then he wouldn't have been able to be standing there talking and letting him know. So River just, and despite this though, Bob did actually offer to give River a ride home, but River declined because he then felt better. And only a few moments later, not too long after River was talking to Bob Forrest, a commotion started outside the Viper Room, where Samantha Mathis was found screaming as River was lying on the sidewalk, having convulsions and unable to tell if he was breathing. His brother Joaquin dialed 911. As he did that, Rain would give River mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. I felt like I was going to mispronounce that word. Like, I remember, like, putting that word in and to my script, and I was like, oh, I feel like I'm going to mispronounce that. But I think I just pronounced that right. It's a bit intense. And by the time paramedics showed up, River was in cardiac arrest. At the hospital, attempts to resuscitate. Right now, this is when I'm going to mispronounce the word. Resuscitate. Basically, attempts to save him. Just like I said the word right one time. Now I'm saying it wrong. Basically, it's unsuccessful, and finally, at 1:51 a.m. on October 31st, 1993, River Phoenix was pronounced dead at the age of 23, which is very, very young. Oh my gosh, that's only... See, I'm 16 now. That's what, like, only 7 years older than me? And now to the aftermath of his sudden and tragic death at the Viper Room in 1993. Jesus Christ, phone. My phone buzzed as I was about to start getting into what happened. Anyways, forensic examination after his death revealed a lot of cocaine, heroin, opiates, marijuana, cannabinoids. I probably mispronouncing some of these low-key, let's be honest. I mean, I wouldn't know anything about drugs. Okay, this one. Benzodiazepine and propoxyphene in his system. There's a lot of that stuff in his system, just a lot of drugs. And the official cause of death was acute multiple drug intoxication. You don't have to be a rampant druggie to have an overdose. Sometimes it'll actually happen the first time. So typically that has no connection to it. But also in 1994, a year later, Interview with the Vampire was released, which is a movie that he was supposed to play the interviewer in. But after his death, a fellow actor and friend of his, Christian Slater, got the role instead. And after filming, Christian had donated $250,000 to two of River Phoenix's favorite environmental charities called Earth Save and Earth Trust. That's just a nice thing, which I did mention in my Christian Slater video, which check it out if you hadn't. That was actually the first episode. And back to River, though, years later, his girlfriend he had at the time, Samantha, because Samantha was dead the night he died, Samantha stated that she had known River to be sober at the time of his death. So basically, I guess he was sober. So basically, he wasn't like going around getting drunk a lot and stuff at the time. And in the same interview, she said that moments before it happened, she could tell that something was wrong, which, I mean, I would hope you would. And she also said that even though there were not... my apologies, guys. Right. She also said that even though many people at the Viper Room were not actually on drugs that night. Like there weren't many people there that were. River was so high that actually made her uncomfortable because she was probably like, cause, I mean, she was probably like, tonight there's not a lot of people who are really high tonight, so it's kind of weird. The River is, and like she was probably just concerned about that. I mean, regardless of how many people there are high, like you should be concerned anyway if they seem extra. And after his death, the Viper Room became a makeshift shrine for River, where fans and mourners would leave flowers, pictures, candles. And until selling his share of the club in 2004, Johnny Depp would actually close down the Viper Room on October 31st in memory of River Phoenix, which is nice. Too bad it only lasted to 2004 when Johnny Depp sold his share of what he owned of the Viper Room, but I feel like that should be something that should still be happening. Maybe it is. I mean, but I mean, it was something that was only happening because, from my understanding, it was something that was only happening because Johnny Depp wanted it to. So, yeah, and with his public image and sudden death, like with who he was in life and like how he died and stuff, like many would actually compare him to a popular actor from the 1950s named James Dean. And I can definitely see that. Alright, and that, my friends, is the life and death of actor River Phoenix. Pretty sad at the end. Like, the story was pretty much how most like child stars are. Like the climb, and then there's like drugs and stuff. Like it's. But that doesn't like. But that's. I mean, still sad. I'm just saying, like, I don't know what I'm trying to say. But anyways, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe. Comment below. I am open to. There's open suggestions for celebrities you may want to be discussed in further episodes. And though it doesn't have to be an actor or actress, whatever. It doesn't have to be that way. It could be a musician too. Like they're all celebrities. That's why I put celebrity, not actor or actors or anything like that, like or so like if one of you guys were to like want, I don't know, like Michael Jackson or something, then I can do that because that fits under the term celebrity. And my social links make sure to check out my social links. They're in my channel bio and in the description below. They include my Discord and my Instagram. And speaking of my Discord, my goal right now on my YouTube channel here is to reach 50 subscribers. And when I do, I'm going to open up a Discord server, but that will only be for my subscribers. Well, subscribe first of all, and then when I reach 50 subs, I'll have that Discord server open. And anyways, have a good day, you guys. I'll see you guys in another video. Goodbye now.